Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Jonathan Bostic, Florida Gators legend. And we had you here a month or so ago, and we're going to hit quite a few topics here. But I wanted to start off with something that's hot in college football right now. It's taken over just all my Twitter feed is just kids hitting the transfer portal. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because, of course, the transferring was around when you played college football, but it wasn't this. I feel like egregious is a good word where now we're over 1,000 kids hitting the transfer portal. So just what are your thoughts on that and kids, going a year or two and then hitting a different spot? There's a kid, JT Daniels is on his like fourth time hitting the portal. So
Yeah. Um, I definitely pay attention to it, especially my brother being a senior in high school now. It's something that it's very new. Um, I think it has some good, but it still has a lot of bad, So a lot of people they think like, hey, well, we're picking up these, 10 guys or whatever in the portal, we're picking up this guy from here, picking up that guy from there. The one thing, just for me, and I expressed that to my little brother and, some of the kids that in his class that, I'm pretty close with and, some of the other high school kids from around the area, they may get down a little bit on that type of stuff. And it's like, yeah, you can't control it right now. There are supposed to be some rules they're going to come in and implement that are going to help the high school kids in the future and, be able to kind of level that playing field back out. But I mean, I've even told several college coaches, that just when they've asked my opinion on the uh, transfer portal is just look, these kids are in the transfer portal for a reason. So you might be able to find out why, you might not. And when it comes down to it, obviously, there's nothing wrong with going and dipping, in there, but it's like it sucks because they get away from the development of the players. And that's what it's all about. Like when you're coming to college, it's about developing these players, helping these kids turn from a young man to a man, and becoming, a better, person for society when they leave this program. Because you spend so much time, with your coaches, with your strength coaches, with your nutrition staff and educational staff. There's so many things that you go about and the people that you're around each and every day. And it's like when you got kids that are, jumping in and jumping out and going here and going there, you never really get any familiarity, with the people that are there to, really truly understand you and, what helps you the best. How can they, bring the best out in you? And I think, when things are leveled back out, or even just even after this year kind of plays out and you start seeing you've got another, year of analytics on this, portal stuff, because some of these kids are jumping in the portal and not doing any research on it and they're ending their careers. They're saying it's only 40% of those guys that are actually getting picked up and going somewhere, you know, and staying. So you got to think about the 60%, of those over 1,000 kids are not going to get picked back up. But everybody's saying, hey, you're going to be fine or whatever. But it's just like I'm not sure who some of these kids are getting, advice from when it comes to these things. But you got to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing or you haven't put good film out there, that people are going to, truly want you over, you better stay where you're at because the grass is not always green on the other side.
yeah, I think that's the thing too, where people are like, I'm not getting playing time here, so I'm going to transfer. And it's like, well, guess what? That means you have to get in with that coaching staff. You have to learn that whole new playbook. You have to learn everything new and start over again. And it's like, you just spent 2 years not getting playing time. There's no guarantee that you're about to get it wherever you go. And then posting, practice clips. And it's like, yeah, like that could help you kind of see who you are. But if I'm a
Yeah,
coach, I'm going to go,
I'm turning on the game film. The game film is what's going to speak. And I tell a lot of these kids that, okay, well, I'm gonna go here, and then all of a sudden they transfer, and it's like, well, realize you didn't play, your first year there. Then you're talking about you're jumping in the portal and all this stuff. Like, you essentially haven't played football for 2 years. And you're expecting a college coach to remember you from high school. Oh, I recruited this kid, love this kid, comes from a good family, and all this stuff. But it doesn't necessarily always work out like that because sometimes, hey, this coach might have moved and gone here, and now they're running a whole different, scheme and before where you fit, this coach's scheme and he liked you and loved you and, wanted you to go there and you didn't, understand he's looking for, something else. And that's where it's really truly hurting a lot of these kids when it comes down to it. Now, like I said, I get it why it's in place, but for the kids and, who they're getting advice from when it comes to these things, like that's the big problem about it. Cause you've got people that they're getting advice from and, not saying, people like that can't help, but you got people that have never played the game before and never played the game at a high level like this before and giving you opinions. And all of a sudden you're going and you're listening and it's like, now your career's over. It's done. They're and that's what, when it comes down to these kids and what I preach, there's no redos when it comes to this. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah, it's a wild time right now, just in general in college football. As a similarly insane thing, awesome, I think, but
Mhm.
insane. NIL is around right now, which obviously wasn't around when you played college football, or wasn't around when when you played college football. But how do you feel about NIL? And obviously, I know that there are some things where it's like, oh, like this player is going to get paid to go to this school and they're buying kids. But there's also times where Javon Dexter with Florida this year, where it's like, well,
Mhm.
he stayed in college and obviously he couldn't declare yet. He was only 2 years, but he stayed in college. He had a kid, and that NIL money helped him pay for
Yeah.
his family. And then I like to bring up this story of Matt Jones, who obviously you were
Mhm.
teammates with. And Matt Jones, if I'm not mistaken, declared a year early because he had a family that he had to provide for and couldn't make money in that way. And he got drafted, I think it was early day 3, could have made more money if he stayed in college and went for another year, but he had to go because he had a family to provide for and he couldn't make money. So those are like the bright sides of NIL. But just as a whole, how do you kind of feel about name, image, likeness in college football?
Um, I think it's just like the portal. You got your good, you got your bad when it comes with it. Now, I do think it's good because it can help kids that do have certain situations. I still remember, in college, there were several guys that were in college and playing and had to take care of not, you know, a family that, like as a son or a daughter, but even just like, mom, sister, brother, because, they were homeless. And, I, so it's like I can see when it can help there. And I do believe that, they should be able to make money when it comes down to it. But, do I think there's a perfect rule, for it? I don't know. I'm not That's above my pay grade when it comes to that. Because there's just so many ifs and ands, that kind of come with it, where it's like, well, what if this guy's dealing with this, or what if this guy's dealing with that? Um, but like, because now it's kind of trickled into, well, certain teams can essentially buy players, and I keep telling these players as well, like, look, I get what you're thinking when it comes to that stuff, and well, the school's going to offer me $500,000 to go there, and $500,000 is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But if you're as good as you are, it's about going to the right location that's going to be able to allow you to showcase those abilities so you can make more than just one payday, because one payday is not going to last you for the rest of your life. I'm sorry. You're still going to be, you know, still got to graduate. You still got to, make money and figure out what profession you're going to be going to. Cause like some of these kids are going and they're throwing their careers away over, a couple $100,000, and not, like I said, not saying it's not a lot of money, but by the time you pay taxes, by the time you buy a little something here or there, treat yourself, like money's gone. Money's gone quick. And you're in the wrong system or you're not playing. And what are you gonna do? Because when the draft comes around, they're taking the best guys available. And that's when the real payday comes. So that's why, I try to preach to these kids, like, I hear you what you're saying on the NIL stuff. Don't pay attention to that stuff. If you're going and you're playing well, it'll come. But you got to find the best fit for you and your future. The best fit might not be, here, it might be over there, or it's not there and it's, over here. So you've got to make that decision. I can't tell you what the decision is going to, what the best decision is going to be. That's a decision that you have to make because, I've done my 4 years already. Now it's time for, you to go and do yours. So, like I said, I think it has the goods. I think it has the bad when it comes down to it. But it just, if it's used the right way, it can definitely be very beneficial, for the kids. But we're not teaching kids how to take care of money. We don't teach people how to take care of money. When you're in school, it's not something that is required. You just get in the real world and just like, hey, here goes your taxes. You you made $500,000. You're getting taxed at this percent. So we need half. And it's like, whoa, nobody told me about that. I already spent more than half of the money. Or I already did this, and well, now what do I do? Oh, I didn't play as much as I thought my freshman year, and then I don't have any other NIL stuff coming in right now. I've already spent that 500,000. Like, can you guys give me more time? And it can get crazy. So
Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by LinkedIn. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier for you to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy for you to find the people that you want to interview faster and for free. And if you've never used LinkedIn Jobs before, I highly recommend it. Just saying, with simple tools like screening questions, it makes it easier for you to focus on candidates with just the right skills and just the right experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that you want to talk to faster. And every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Comes up on you real quick.
real
uh,
fast.
just out of curiosity, have you ever done anything with Gator Collective, like the Florida's NIL collective? I know that they have a few former Gators that do stuff with them. Have you ever or no?
Not yet. I got
Oh, I like the
something.
not yet. I like the not yet there.
Yeah, I've got something in the future. I probably announce it probably right around the Super Bowl when I announce it. Um, I've got something that I definitely want to help out when it comes, especially to the collective side, and putting stuff together for these kids and NIL deals. I've been working on a project for last like 2.5, getting ready to go on 3 years, and without getting too much into detail yet, uh, it'll be the first of its kind that I'm doing with it. So um, it's gonna be big. So that's really all I can say just yet. But
um,
eventually, I'll get involved with a lot of that stuff.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, now I'm excited. I was just curious, but now I'm excited for it. But switching to a more personal you football
Hmm.
side of things. To start this year with the Commanders, you were more rotational role, and just
Hmm.
how weird is it? Maybe weird might be a poor word to use, but how
Hmm.
difficult is it to go from playing 8 snaps one week to 43 the next, and just being ready when that number is called?
Basically, when I was brought back, we knew it was only a matter of time, and they told me that was the reason they were bringing me back. Um, I'm out of all the linebackers that were drafted, in the 2013 draft, it's only one left, and you're looking at them. So, so it's a blessing to be here, especially as the game has changed throughout the years and everything. And being able to evolve with the game was one of my things that I've done throughout my career, and adding different elements to my game, and uh, you know, changing the style of play has been big. But like I said, it was more so. As soon as I came in, we're gonna have you learn the scheme. We're gonna get you ready. It's only a matter of time, and just when I was thrown in, I've been ready, and it's like riding a bike for me. Um, getting back to calling plays, getting back to playing fast, playing physical, like I've always done. So it's been fun getting back out there.
How's it been kind of, I'm assuming you're taking on at least a bit of a leadership role there with obviously Jamin Davis is a very young athletic freak linebacker. You've got Khaleke Hudson as another very young linebacker. So how's it kind of been to, I guess, take on that? You are the veteran, like you said, out
Mm-hmm.
of all the linebackers, 2013 draft, it's just you remaining. So
Mm-hmm.
how does it feel to kind of be the leader there in that defense right now?
It's the thing about it is like that's how I've been since I've walked in the building. As a leading the defense, from day one. You know, when the staff that brought me in, I had a lot of familiarity with their scheme because of the coaching tree that I grew up in. So when I came in, they were surprised that I knew the whole playbook from day one. And they were just like, it's weird, it doesn't make sense. And even caught Rob Ryan off guard. He was kind of like, how do you know this already? And so then I kind of told him, like, I've played in this defense before. So um, being, the leader that I've been, I mean, shoot, we talked about Brandon Spikes earlier, and, that's who I grew up under. I grew up under Charlie Strong. I grew up under Dan Quinn and Will Muschamp and those guys. Like, so them expressing to me, like, this is what, a Mike linebacker is supposed to do. This is what a Mike linebacker, this is how a Mike linebacker leads, the defense and leads guys around him and makes players around him better. That's something I've taken throughout my whole career. So even when Cole came in, you know, essentially I was supposed to be the Will, Cole was supposed to be the Mike. But our defense was very complicated. And I knew just coming in, like I let Cole call half of one play, and then like I could see like it's gonna be a little while, So then that's when I took it over, and I'm just like, listen, when you play next to me, and Jamin knows this, Khaleke even said it the other day in practice. He's like, man, like I love being in like with you. He's like, I don't have to think. He's like, you make me very calm. Like when I'm out there, like I can literally go back to playing like I was in college, and I can play free. And I understand that. Like I always tell coaches, like, put the thinking on me. You put the thinking on me, like I can get everybody else, relaxed and situated, and it allows the defense to play fast, allows the defense to play physical, allows guys to go be able to make plays just because I can take that workload on me because I understand how to simplify that stuff. And, I've got a memory that, can do some different things that, I just never really say. So
And I mean, obviously, just speaking to you, obviously your football IQ is very high. You've been playing in the NFL for freaking almost a decade already, man. You played high level football for a long time, including obviously Florida. You got into the NFL in 2013, like you said, when you were just getting into the league. That was kind of when we saw Cam Newton, RG3 with like introduce the option as a wrinkle in the offense.
yep.
Tim Tebow with the Broncos ran just a full option for a year. It was insane. And now in recent years, we've seen the RPO take a much greater focus in NFL offenses. So how difficult is it as a linebacker that's been in the league for a long time to kind of consistently adapt to these new things that NFL offenses are introducing? Where, I mean, even Thursday night football last night, I don't know if you watched. I'm so sorry if you did watch that game, but the Raiders were just they ran like three reverses every time the
Yep.
Rams came out in a certain look. The Raiders ran three reverses, and it's just like consistently introducing these new wrinkles, and we see condensed sets with wide zone styles mashing together. How difficult is it to play defense in this NFL?
Um, I'll tell you this, and this is me going all the way back. Like I'm weird. I watch a lot of film. That's something I've always done throughout my career. Did it in high school, really did it in college. That's something I actually grasped from Spikes, when I was there as of, watching film and, how I watch film, how I broke down films. I'll tell you this, the RPO scheme that, a lot of people talk about now, it's not new. It's something that's been around for a very, very, very long time. But now people can recognize it. Like people are able to watch the game and say, "Oh, that's what an RPO is." When you had, you know, think about when John Gruden was, doing Monday Night Football and, all that stuff. And you would hear him talk about the schemes. People started to pick up on those things, and they would watch his show and you hear the spider wide banana. Now everybody knows, what that is. But it's like when you go back in history and you start like watching these games, because everybody thought even when, Florida started running a lot of these zone read stuff and like, oh, these RPOs that they were throwing to Lewis Murphy on the backside, at the X with, Tebow and, Demps, they're hitting, inside zone and, he could pick which one. Understand, like this stuff was done in the 50s. Like, and I'm not talking about like, University of Tennessee. I want to say the exact year was like 1957. If I know that like off the top of my head, I know it was around that year, but I'm almost positive like that specific year. Like you've got film of teams running RPOs like back then, but it just like I said, now to the naked eye, like it's a lot easier for people to say, "Oh, okay, like that's what that is." Because some people, that know football, like when you see somebody line up in a wishbone offense, you're like, hey, "That's the wishbone." But it's like for a lot of the younger kids, like if I showed a wishbone offense to my brother, he wouldn't know what that is. They just got three running backs back there. If you show a Maryland eye back there, they wouldn't know what that is. So it's something that, and that's something that kind of, I heard, Belichick, talking to us like football evolves. It's going to go through its evolutions, where you're going to see teams that go out and everybody's throwing the ball now. They have the RPOs. They're trying to spread things. Eventually, I do think the game may go back into a heavy run type of lead. All it's going to take is one team, to get in the playoffs and run the ball down everybody's throat, and it's like it's a copycat lead. Everybody's copying each other. So yes, you are seeing more athletic quarterbacks, because you can do so much more. And then two, the defensive linemen are so athletic. They're getting like freaky athletic with what they can do at the point of attack, how they're rushing the passer, how they're stopping the run, how fast, when things get on the perimeter, they're running receivers down now. And it's like how do you complement those things and the coverages you're getting? Is like, okay, when you have a mobile quarterback, you're kind of confined to only playing certain coverages versus them because you always have to be accounted for the quarterback as a runner.
Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by SimpliSafe, and the numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe Home Security to protect their home. And look, you don't get the trust of 4 million people without doing something right, which SimpliSafe does. They protect you with cutting edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. I love it. You guys know the story. I was on vacation in June, which you all know. Or if you don't, now you do. I was on vacation in June. Had a notification that someone was in my yard. Luckily, just a kid getting the ball, just a neighbor's kid getting the ball. So that was underwhelming. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, thankfully there was no one in my yard. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan. Get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. And remember, there is a no safe like SimpliSafe. It is wild. Also, I know you mentioned the Maryland Eye. I'd kill to see that in the NFL right now. Like I would just love to see a team do it, but I don't think teams really have the two fullbacks that they would need unless it's,
No, there's not many fullbacks left in college football.
there's like 12 fullbacks, so you can't really do it right now. But also as we're just talking about scheme, one thing I would like to ask you about as well, just as a defender in
Mhm.
recent, yeah, and obviously this has been something that has also been around forever, but we're seeing the trend pick up heavily this year in just too high looks across the league. You're seeing more too deep safeties than we've seen in a while. So can you kind of explain how that's helped playing defense now where I mean, obviously people like Patrick Mahomes struggles against the too high and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But just more specifically kind of how that helps you adapt to this these offenses that are just also the NFL rules are just obviously heavily skewed towards the offense. So how is it kind of with too high looks and these changes helping you guys?
Um, when you get into a lot of too high defenses, it makes offenses think and dunk you. And it's something also I learned from, Belichick as well. If you make an offense go 10 to 15 plays, somebody's gonna mess up. Somebody's gonna drop a ball. Somebody's gonna get a holding penalty. Somebody's gonna block in the back. Somebody's gonna jump off sides. Somebody's gonna line up wrong, illegal formation, something. If you make a team go 10 to 15 plays, somebody's going to mess up and you're going to get somebody in the second and long, in the third and long. You get somebody in the second and long, I mean, there's only so many plays in the playbook that you have to try and, get those first downs. So teams are starting to play offenses like that. And the thing about offenses, everybody wants the big play. Everybody wants to go deep. Think about it. All the young offensive coordinators on Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night, they want to put up 400 or 500 yards because they want that head job coming up. They want that, whatever, that they're looking to get, bumped up into whatever role. But when we make teams go the long, hard way, a lot of offenses aren't patient enough to do it. Because look, the thing about it is if we make you drive 10, 12 plays and you get in the red zone, you still got to score. And it is the closer you get to the end zone, the harder it is to score. So it's like, even if we make you go, 10, 12, 15 plays for a field goal and you just ate up, 7, 8 minutes off the clock, going, scoring 3, 3, 3, and 3, that's not going to beat us. It's not going to beat us. So it's like, that's where a lot of coaches are starting to look at, like, let's make these teams go the long, long, hard way. Let's make these teams play left-handed. Everybody wants to get these speedy receivers and jump on top of people and go deep. But now it's like, no, we're just going to make you run underneath. And now it's giving a chance it's making teams run the ball more. It's making teams, like I said, just throw quick outs and slants and drags. And like I said, that stuff it's just not going to beat you. So.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, oh well, it's. I mean, I get you can call it the bend don't break style, where it's like it's really hard to be successful for so many plays in a row when you're playing against a high caliber NFL defense, or even what is thought of as like a lower tier NFL defense. These are still NFL football players out there, so
Right.
it's incredibly hard to beat them. But you guys this season did something that, when we talk about incredibly hard to beat, you're the only team to beat them, the Philadelphia Eagles. Just which,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that. I know we were talking beforehand where I'm a Giants fan. You obviously play for the Commanders, so that helped us both. We were both happy about that. But just what was that like to kind of go into that game, bring the Eagles, slow them down a little bit offensively, because their offense has been insane this whole season. So what was that like to kind of be able to just slow them down and be able to walk away with not just a win, but a double digit win over a team that was at the time undefeated and has not lost since that one?
Yeah. It definitely was a big win for us. I think it really showed guys on our team, because we got a fairly young team. And I think it showed guys that, hey, we can play with the best in this league. That's a really good football team. They're probably going to make a deep playoff run. And, for us to be able to go into their house, primetime game, and, kind of suck the air out of that stadium, um, is big time. A lot of guys stepped up, especially young guys, in so many different phases of the game. Not just on offense or defense, but on special teams as well. You got a guy like Jeremy Reeves that's, it's a household name to us, but on the outside of our building, um, he's not as much as a household name. And right now he's playing, his best ball. But the crazy thing is, like, he's been playing like that. But it's just the fact of, when you finally get that opportunity, like, what are you going to do with it? And, he's taking full advantage of that. He's playing, really realistically, he's probably the best special teams player in the league right now. So it really took every last person in this league. I mean, on our team to be able to go in and beat, one of the better teams in this league.
Yeah, and then I would like to ask you just before we go, I would like to ask you about the tie, more so just what is it like playing defense in an NFL overtime where after that first possession where you might give up a punt, where you might give up a field goal and you get a chance,
Yeah.
there's no more. Then like once you're through that first possession, it is you stop them or you lose. So what is it like in that high pressure moment? And then also just that Graham Gano field goal. Just watching that, I need to know what's going through your mind when you're playing a division game and it's like, okay, he's got to kick a 48-yard field goal and its time expires. So it's just done at that point.
I mean, it's just like on the offensive side. You got quarterbacks that always dream of like driving the ball downfield in the, you know, game, on the line situation and being able to throw that, touchdown pass or, and just lead an offense down the field. It's the same on defense. You know, why not being out there with the game on the line, and having our backs against the wall and trying to get the ball back to our offense. Like it really doesn't get any better than that. Especially in division game, on the road. Because as much as we love playing at home, like it's always fun playing on the road too. Especially division games, going to New York, going to Philly, going to Dallas. Like you've got teams that don't like each other very very much, especially the fans don't like people very much. So it's definitely fun going out there and having those opportunities and really coming up big in those opportunities, for our team. But obviously, we would have loved to win, especially, when that field goal, went short and everything, so that was definitely, big for us. But we definitely would have loved to win more than anything.
Yeah, that was. I'll tell. I was like, I was upset with the miss. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan, so I was like watching. I was like, oh, that's gonna be a little bit shy, and that was a bit heartbreaking. But thank you
Yeah.
so much, John. This was Jonathan Bostic, Florida Gators legend, Washington Commanders linebacker, and yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.